Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Keith Whittier, and I've been a passionate fan of the CFL my whole life. On the list of amazing things that my parents did for me was introducing me to the CFL at a young age. I remember I could barely stay up past 8 p.m. slash bedtime, and I was watching games on the weekends with my father. It was such a treat to stay up and watch games as long as my body would allow me to at a young age and just being captivated by what I was seeing. The first time my father took me to what is now TV Place, I just felt like the kid in the candy store, taking in the sights and the sounds of the CFL live, these games that I'd seen multiple times on TV. I was just thrilled to be there. I remember growing up through my young adulthood to my adulthood, the CFL has always been a part of my life. And when Ottawa didn't have a team, that was okay. I was able to travel, and travel I did. I've had the opportunity of seeing games in every single stadium. I've had the opportunity of taking part in the ultimate CFL weekend. And if you look closely, it happens usually about once a season. You get a game on a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday. Gave me the opportunity of crisscrossing this beautiful country, seeing games in multiple stadiums with phenomenal fans. And I've always looked at the CFL as a big dysfunctional family. We may root for different teams, we may like different players, but we all get along for the most part. And when we come together on what I say is the best weekend to be a Canadian, that is Grey Cup weekend, there's just nothing like it. I love this league. I love the players. I love the coaches. I love the cheerleaders, the people who sell us those amazing concessions. I respect the people who work in the ticket offices. I respect the people in the head office, all the people who try to keep this thing called the CFL going. Nothing but respect. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as a fan, and I've made no secret about it, I'm a BC Lions / Ottawa REDBLACKS fan. There has been a lot of excitement and disappointment through the years. Excitement of seeing BC win a Grey Cup at BC Place. Excitement of seeing the Ottawa REDBLACKS in their second year back winning at BMO Field. And then, of course, there's disappointment. Sometimes your team doesn't win, but that's just what happens as a fan. I get it. But I got to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. As proud as I am of being a fan, and I don't tell you these things as a flex, I tell you these things because I want you to understand the level of passion that I have for the CFL. The level of disgust that I felt over the events that transpired on July the 8th, I need to talk about. And I've wanted to come and talk to you about it for a while, but every time I sit down, I find myself getting really angry and I need to step away. And those are feelings that I'm not used to having. Now, of course, I am talking about the Garrett Marino incident. Now, Garrett Marino is a player for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and essentially what happened was, going back to the day before the game, the Ottawa REDBLACKS were at their team dinner. Garrett Marino kind of crashed the party and came over and started saying a lot of, let's just say, not nice things. Now, understand, I get there's a certain level of intimidation that goes with football. There's a bit of mental mind games, but there's also lines you don't cross. I've got friends and we talk about multiple sports with, and we trash talk each other, but we don't cross lines. We don't talk about religion. We don't talk about race. We don't talk about family. These are things that you just don't do. You can have friendly trash talk. For example, outside of the CFL, I'm a huge Manchester City fan. If I come across a Liverpool fan, which is a major rival, I don't start being insulting. I might say, hey, number two, how are you? And it's all in fun. And you go about your day. I'm not insulting the person's family. I'm not insulting the person's race because I have this little thing called common sense that says you don't do that. Now, Garrett Marino, to take you to the actual game and show you exactly what happened, to talk about exactly what happened, he went in on a tackle on Jeremiah Masoli, the quarterback for the REDBLACKS, and he went in directly at the man's knees. Now, this was dirty and disgusting considering the fact that Masoli had already had ACL surgery. But not only did he go in and tackle him, he grabbed his knee and he twerked it. We're not talking about the twerking on the dance floor, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking about intent to injure. As clear as day, he went out with a complete intention to injure this man. And what is an absolutely disgusting showing. Now, after that play, he was ejected from the game. And as he's leaving the field, you think maybe there's some remorse. Maybe there's some, oh my God, what did I do? Not so much, because he's got his helmet raised, he's flexing, he's celebrating, he's quite proud of himself. Well, the CFL came out and they issued him 3 separate suspensions. A 2-game suspension for a dangerous and reckless low hit on Masoli, a 1-game suspension for the racial comments that he made during the game about Masoli's heritage, and a 1-game suspension for the illegal and reckless tackle of an offensive lineman on a previous play, totaling 4 games. Now everyone's up in arms. Oh my God, this is the biggest suspension the CFL's ever done. Except for me, because I don't think it's enough. This is really the perfect storm of stupidity. You have got racism mixed in with an illegal hit, mixed in with celebrating the illegal hit. Exactly what does one need to do to get fired from your league? That's a question for Randy Ambrosi, and we'll get to him in a moment. I want to say I'm beyond proud of Jeremiah Masoli and how he's been handling this situation. And he had no problem doing coming out with a statement of his own, talking about how he feels about the events. I have nothing but tremendous respect for Nate Bahar, who stood by his teammate at the press conference right after the game, calling out the actions of Marino. I was a little disappointed, if I'm being honest with you, in Paul LaPolice, the coach of the Red Blacks, for the simple fact that I would have liked to have seen him take a stronger stance on it. When Ottawa media asked him at the beginning of this week how he felt about it, he came back with a no comment. Ladies and gentlemen, when is no comment any good? Do you like what I'm wearing tonight? No comment. Did you like the dinner I made? No comment. With all due respect, Paul LaPolice, your players expect better from you, and you needed to step up as a leader. And as the days went on, you did make additional statements. But I personally, as a fan and as a season ticket holder, would have liked to have seen more from you. Now, I want to read you the statement from Garrett Marino. I received my discipline from the CFL regarding the game we played on Friday, July the 8th, 2022. I will not be appealing the suspensions given to me by the CFL, and I have spoken to the Players Association, who will not be appealing on my behalf. I want to apologize for my actions that day, as I understand they have no place in the game of football. I also apologize to Jeremiah Masoli of the Ottawa REDBLACKS, as I did not intend to injure him. You went in at his knees and you twerked his knee. Was that a tickle? I have tried over the past few days to connect with him directly and will continue to do so. Regarding the comments I made during the game, I regret I said them, as I now understand their consequences. You now understand their consequences? Garrett Marino, I have a niece who understands the consequences of her words, and yet she also understands the consequences of racism. She's 7. Exactly how old are you? I'm going to assume that you probably played high school ball, maybe a little college, university, and now pro. And it wasn't until July 8th that you understood the effects of racial comments? Okay. This was not my intent when speaking on the field, nor is it ever my intent in my day-to-day life. I know I play the game with an edge, and during the game I made an insensitive and culturally stereotypical remark. I now understand this was hurtful to my peers, and I hope I can be forgiven for that misunderstanding. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that people, as human beings, we need to forgive, we need to move on, we need to grow as people. But with all due respect, I'm not reading a statement that I feel came from Garrett Marino as much as it came from the PR team of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I say that because as I'm recording this on the 17th of July, I haven't seen Marino put anything on his social media about this. I haven't seen a statement from him, and he's been active on social media. He's been liking and retweeting things. But the one thing he isn't going on about is this statement. This statement isn't even retweeted on his Twitter page. It's on the Saskatchewan Roughriders Twitter page. I take pride in being a good teammate and a valued member of the Saskatchewan Roughriders Football Club. I did not intend for my comments or actions to be hurtful, and I take solace in my teammates, knowing that I will stand with all of them, regardless of race, ethnicity, and sexual orientation. I will not be commenting on this matter again. Nice way of saying don't ask me about it. But will be working to better myself as I serve this discipline and prepare to rejoin my teammates on the field. Garrett Marino. Okay. As a person of color, I have dealt with racism and bigotry my entire life from time to time. I don't see that changing anytime soon. Dealing with the Garrett Marinos of the world is nothing that is new to me. Again, I congratulate the Saskatchewan Roughriders PR team on writing a statement for him, because I don't think it came from him. There's nothing about his actions to me that shows any level of remorse. When I look at the CFL, specifically the players, I see a history of phenomenal players that we can all be proud of. Players like Obi Khan, players like Louis Pasaglia, players like Mervyn Fernandez, Pinball Clemens, my brother from another mother, Milt Stegall, and the list goes on and on. People like Garrett Marino are a desecration to all of them. They don't represent this league that I love. If anything, they are a parasite to this league and have no place in it. My biggest level of disappointment lands with Randy Ambrosie. Randy Ambrosie, allow me to reintroduce you to you. You are the commissioner of the league. You have the ability to affect change. A couple of years ago, you came out with this diversity is our strength campaign, and you talked about how important diversity was in the league. You had the ability to send seismic shockwaves throughout this league to say that this type of behavior would not be tolerated. But instead, what you did was you did a one-game slap on the wrist that basically says, well, maybe it will be tolerated. I'd like to think in 2022, as we've had multiple conversations about things such as Black Lives Matter, and we've talked about racism over the last few years, that we've gotten to the point where we can say that certain actions won't be tolerated. This isn't things were like, heated on the field. There are lines that should never be crossed. And if they are crossed, there should be legitimate consequences for them. Even if there was some sort of community involvement or getting this guy into a program to have him more racially sensitive, that would be one thing. But you just basically gave him a few weeks off and then are throwing him back on the field. So I guess I would ask, if I was working in the CFL office, not on the field, but in the office, and somebody walked into the office and said, oh, so you're the new N-word that we hired, would that be tolerated? Would that person be sent home for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, or would they be fired? That's a serious question, and this is a serious incident. Jeremiah Masoli had absolutely no right being racially abused on the field. That to me is like a non-starter. That shouldn't have ever happened. And the fact that Marino only got a one-game suspension, I'm really disappointed, because for somebody like you, Randy Ambrosie, who talks a good game, and with all due respect, that seems like it's all that it is, talks a good game about diversity, at the end of the day, you failed. For somebody in your position, you had the opportunity and, quite frankly, the obligation to do something about it, but you didn't. Jeremiah Masoli is now laid up, and I'm not talking about Jeremiah Masoli, when will he come back to our team? I'm talking about a father who has already had knee surgery, and the concern is, will he be able to play around with his kids? What sort of permanent damage will this have? Why was this guy attacked like this? Why was he abused racially like this? And in the end, it's a 4-game suspension? It's so light. I wish you would approach this with the same level of passion that you would approach the federal government asking for taxpayer dollars during the pandemic. When you went to the federal government, you talked a good game about how our strength was our players. But these are players that you don't really seem to stand by. As a commissioner of a league that I love, I expected more from you. And I just feel disappointed, because you had the opportunity to do something about it, and you really didn't. Ladies and gentlemen, again, my name is Keith. I appreciate you taking the time to check this out, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.